It's a lovely good evening and welcome to Camnet TV Main News to present. My name is Jeffrey Ziambo. Top stories in the news tonight. British envoy to Zambia predicts a non-free and fair 2021 Zambian election. Police stop HH and the UPND from holding door-to-door campaigns in MUNALI and MATERO. UNZA lecturers side with fired resident doctors president. And in international news, Macron slapped during trip to southeast France. And in sports news, Copper Queens to face Great Britain in international friendly.
Camnet TV is here to entertain, educate and inform you. Catch Rise and Thrive at 0730 hours every Saturday. Fresh and new praise and worship comes Monday to Friday at 8 hours. Kids need to be glued to the TV every weekday at 09 hours for their favorite cartoons. Off the pitch with the boys as they talk about sport on Saturdays at 0930 hours.
Remember, we are also here to entertain you with our different varieties of movies every weekday at 10 hours. Join Pastor Victoria and Moses Chilua with Healing Word Ministries International Church live sermon every Sunday at 10 hours.
Katamanda brings to you another journey of gospel ministers on Saturdays at 10:30 hours. The verdict comes to your screens at 17:45 hours. Join the Revival Harvest Church every Sunday at 18:30 hours.
Every Monday to Saturday, join us on the news desk at 12 hours as we bring to you the midday news, and at 19:30 hours Central African time every day for the main bulletin.
The ministry with Pastor Moses Chilua comes every Friday at 20:45 hours. On Mondays, it's your favorite national matters at 20:45 hours.
Wednesday and Thursday, Pastor Victoria and Moses Chilua are on Partnership of Greatness with different spiritual teachings at 20:45 hours.
And Frank on Camnet comes to your screen every Tuesday at 20:45 hours.
Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Welcome back. Now the news in detail. The University of Zambia Lecturers and Researchers Union, UNZA, has described the move to fire Resident Doctors Association of Zambia President Dr. Brian Sampa as unfair, miscalculated and unreasonable, and makes the situation even worse. In a solidarity message to Resident Doctors Association of Zambia, UNZA says it unequivocally stands with the doctors as they are fighting a just cause. Union President Andrew Peary notes that as essential workers, they are simply reclaiming their right place in society and in their workplace. Government has since been advised to pay the doctors their dues and to find a way to avoid a go-slow as recruits are waiting and recruit those doctors who are awaiting employment.
Workers, they are simply reclaiming their right place in society and in their workplace. We are surprised that those entrusted to oversee the affairs of our doctors are quick to selectively court and apply the law to the effect that medical personnel are not allowed to undertake a go-slow. Yet the same law that they are courting does not allow them to exploit workers. There must be dignity accorded to a worker in service to the nation, especially essential workers. The union finds it extremely difficult to understand how essential workers could be treated in a manner that defeats the very definition of essential work. If indeed doctors are essential workers, as we are repeatedly reminded, why are they not on priority recruitment and payment of salaries? We are therefore condemning in the strongest terms possible the attempts by the government to intimidate, incarcerate and dismiss the doctors. It is illogical to be sending doctors who were trained at a great cost to the nation by the government to fill police holding cells while thousands of patients in the hospital wards are desperately waiting to be saved by them. In the same vein, it is grossly unacceptable to have hundreds of trained doctors jobless and roaming the streets when there is a critical shortage of doctors in most of our hospitals across the country, especially amidst a ravaging COVID-19 pandemic as reported by health authorities. If the medical doctors are indeed essential, recruit those who are not employed and pay them on time. Do not intimidate, arrest, or dismiss them. Instead, address the root causes of the problems that the doctors are facing and do not attend to symptoms.
And Opposition Patriots for Economic Progress, PEP, has also expressed shock at government's continued harassment of Dr. Brian Sampa despite firing him from the civil service. PEP President Sean Tembo says the victimization of a single powerless medical doctor cannot go unchallenged. The opposition leader says the Resident Doctors Association is a bona fide institution that has represented the interests of junior doctors in Zambia since time immemorial. Mr. Tembo adds that other administrations in the past have respected the association and engaged in bargaining negotiations with them and reached mutual settlements. The PEP president says Dr. Brian Sampa is merely a messenger on behalf of the junior medical doctors and that doctors are not asking for anything out of the ordinary, but only that their remuneration arrears be paid.
We are very, very shocked and disappointed with the manner in which President Lungu and his government are treating Dr. Brian Sampa, who is the president of the Resident Doctors Association of Zambia. First of all, we heard that Dr. Sampa had been summarily dismissed from the civil service for no apparent reason whatsoever. And then, in addition to that, we also heard that his practicing license to practice as a medical doctor had been revoked by government. And then we further hear that he has been summoned to the police, apparently for having Zoom meetings. And when we look at the drastic action that government has taken against Dr. Sampa, we fail to understand the basis of such vengeance on the part of President Lungu and his government, because Dr. Sampa was merely a messenger representing the grievances that the doctors had. And when you look at these grievances, they were basically asking to be paid their salary arrears. And there's nothing wrong with someone asking to be paid what is owed to them.
The National Action for Quality Education in Zambia, NAKEZ in Western Province, has welcomed the proposal by its national leadership to empower teachers with financial literacy skills. NAKEZ Western Province Coordinator Mukela Mulonda says it is not a secret that indebtedness among teachers in Zambia has economically been cancerous and a huge bottleneck to delivery of quality education in classes. Mr. Mulonda adds that, embarrassing as it sounds, the issue is real, and in some cases, teachers have tended to abandon work for fear of money lenders. He says other teachers have been considering committing suicide as a result of being highly indebted to the bank's micro-lending institutions as well as individual money lenders. Mr. Mulonda says the debt situation is an assault on the teaching profession and must be attended to with the urgency it deserves.
We strongly stand in support of the initiative to empower teachers with financial literacy skills, which was launched by our national leadership last week. It is not a secret that indebtedness among teachers in Zambia has economically been cancerous and a huge bottleneck to delivery of quality education in classes. Embarrassing as it may sound, this issue is real, and in some cases, some teachers have tended to abandon work for fear of money lenders. Others have even considered committing suicide as a result of being highly indebted to the banks, micro-lending institutions, as well as individual money lenders. This reality is ugly, an assault on the teaching profession, and must be attended to with the urgency it deserves.
Opposition United Party for National Development UPND President Hakainde Hichilema has charged that the Electoral Commission of Zambia must retain its glory and ensure that the electoral process is fair. Addressing the media after a closed-door meeting with the electoral body Wednesday, Mr. Haji Chilema says the Commission has no backing with regards to banning of political rallies, among other rights in an election. He notes that the Patriotic Front government is using the COVID-19 as a weapon to stifle the voice of the opposition. The UPND leader says that the cancellation of today's UPND Alliance road show by the police is a clear demonstration of the abuse of authority, calling on the police to be professional. Mr. Ichilema has since stressed that the alliance partners would not accept any unjust directives from the authority but will go flat out and campaign freely in line with the health guidelines put in place. The opposition leader was in the company of alliance partners, among them Movement for Democratic Change's Felix Mutati, Charles Milupi and his running mate Mutale Nalumango.
The banning of political rallies due to the COVID-19 pandemic has brought what one would call confusion with regards to how political players can send the messages across to the electorates. This situation has left the usage of media programs, billboards and roadshows as a main means of sending the messages across. However, the roadshows are also proving to be a challenge due to authority interference, especially towards the opposition. Wednesday, a scheduled UPND rally for MUNALI and MATERO constituencies was cancelled by the police, a situation that prompted the UPND leader Hakainde Hichilema and his alliance partners to meet the Electoral Commission of Zambia in a bid to see how best the political environment can be handled. The UPND leader Hakainde Hichilema says the meeting with ECZ was cordial, but that the electoral body needed to reclaim its authority.
The playing field must be maintained, meaning that there must be equity, fairness in the way campaigns are conducted, and number three, by all parties. Number three, to make sure that the coronavirus pandemic is not weaponized. At the moment, as President MUNZA has said, the coronavirus is a weapon being used by the PF against this UPND alliance. It's evident. And what we mean by that? We mean, first and foremost, it was illegal to cancel the rallies. Completely illegal. It takes away from citizens their fundamental rights.
And Mr. Hichilema says the alliance will not accept any illegal directives.
This struggle so that we can end violence in our community. This struggle, this campaign, so that we can send our children to school and offer business opportunities to our people. And indeed, so we can have medicines in hospitals. That's what this agenda is all about. I want to assure all of you and guide all of you that from today, we will not respect illegal instructions. You must go out and campaign. I'm looking at you, Zambia, through this camera. Go out and campaign because, yes, we protect lives. We are well aware of that. But what was happening in Kanyama yesterday by PF? What was that? A huge procession. You mean COVID knows that this is UPND Alliance members, this is PF? No. Does it distinguish?
No,
it doesn't. So the police must do that which is right. And that is to respect the constitutional provisions of our country. If not, they are the ones breaking the law.
Meanwhile, when contacted for a comment as to why the roadshow was cancelled, police spokesperson told Camnet TV in a telephone interview that the UPND Alliance needed to write to respective localities in which the activities were taking place.
We want to have 5 activities in Lusaka, in Kanyama, Chawama, Matero, where else, Chilenje, Kawata. You have to drop notifications to all these officers in charge so that they consolidate with other activities which others also have applied to undertake so that there is no clash.
Sharon Kalimbola, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Meanwhile, British Ambassador to Zambia, Nicholas Woolley, has predicted that Zambia risks having an unfree and fair election if a level playing field is not created. Mr. Woolley tells Camnet News that they did an independent assessment on the Copper Belt and observed that there has been selective application of the law by police on political gatherings. He says the Copper Belt incident, where the United Party for National Development leader Hakainde Hichilema was being prevented by the police from holding political gatherings, is an impediment to fairness in an election. The British envoy has advised the police against selectively applying the law this year and in this election. We have more in this report.
Democracy is a system where people elect their rulers in a peaceful manner, and the government is given the right to rule because the people say it may. And one of the 12 principles of good governance is participation, representation, and fair conduct of elections. Zambia, as a democratic state, is expected to uphold that. Meanwhile, despite the court's ruling that the Public Order Act cannot be advanced to prevent public gatherings, but just like in any other election, it is still being utilized. But concerns have been that it works against the opposition. And sadly, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, rallies have been banned. However, the British government is concerned over what it termed as selective application of the law.
While I was there, we heard how opposition party rallies had been prevented from going ahead, and indeed shortly after I returned there was then the decision by the ECZ to ban campaign rallies on account of the COVID-19 situation. At the same time, while I was there was also a government event where officials and others were calling for people to turn out to be a part of this government event. So a real question for me comes back to the issue of fairness.
The British envoy has called for an even playing field by providing equal media coverage, especially by the public media.
Comes back to the issue of fairness. And if we are going to see a fair election, we need a level playing field. And a level playing field, part of that means that all political parties, whether they're in government or ruling party or opposition parties, have equal access to be able to campaign, to address their supporters, to have access to state media. And an incident like that, where a opposition rally is prevented from going ahead, but other citizens are encouraged to come out to a government event that does go ahead, I think is not a demonstration of even-handedness, and that is not going to lead to a fair election in August.
He has since called on the government to take a lead in creating a favourable atmosphere for holding free and fair elections.
I underline again today that all parties need equal access to be able to campaign, and restrictions that apply to one party that might prevent them from travelling to a certain part with a number of vehicles in large convoys, if those are deemed to be campaigns and therefore banned, then it's really important that that applies to everyone, whether that's in government or whatever political party they are from. So I again appeal to all the authorities to ensure that an even-handed approach is applied.
As it gets tense by the day ahead of the polls, it is the expectation of many Zambians that peace will prevail before, during and after the elections. Patrick Soko, Camnet News.
The Civic Forum on Housing and Habitat Zambia says the high cost of housing development has been a major hindrance towards addressing housing poverty in the country. Organization Executive Director Grace Mtonga tells Camnet News that housing in Zambia is a capital investment, which she says is a difficult undertaking for both the formal and informal sector. Ms. Mtonga says her organization has collaborated with Habitat International to secure land tenure for women, adding that they are currently undertaking a study to interrogate the best approaches. Ms. Mtonga says the issue of land tenure is depriving the small-scale farmers. She says in order to help vulnerable citizens own land and houses, they have continued to champion housing cooperatives.
even if we have to engage government and various stakeholders, we need to have data that is factual for them to be able to act upon. So we'll be starting with conducting studies in Ndola, and our focus is mainly on massive investments and seeing how it is depriving the local subsistent farmers of their access to natural resources. We have also continued with the promotion of housing cooperatives. This is a strategy that we are trying to see on how do we bring together, especially people who are in the informal sector, for instance, for them to be able to pull resources together, for them to be able to build. Because as you may be aware, housing is actually a capital investment. Even somebody who's in employment with a stable income, one cannot build a house probably within a year or two. It might take them 3 or 4 years. But what about people who are in the lower income bracket? So we are trying to bring people together to make sure they put their resources together, they put in systems together, they make their savings, engage into income generating activities, be able to raise sufficient resources, and also be able to build. We are also looking at the component of economic empowerment, especially for our youth who seem to be most of the time excluded from the development agenda, trying to see how then do we try to harness some of the skills that they have to make sure that they're able to progress with them. And this is also a build-up from the Skills Development Center that was done by the help of the Embassy of Japan. How do we tap into such development programs?
Citizens' environmental and social concern has accused the Lusaka City Council of having failed to sustainably run the Chunga dump site, as evidenced by the illegal and uncontrolled dumping and burning of waste in and around the dump site. Company Executive Director Cornel Hakapia tells Camnet News that during inspection of the facility last week, they found the surrounding uncouth, uncoordinated and a disaster, and which has the potential of putting the entire city at high risk of a disease breakout. Mr. Hakapia says they are cognizant of the fact that Zambia is committed to the UN Sustainable Development Goals and SDG number 11, which is Sustainable Cities and Communities, and calls attention to the safe disposal of solid waste. He has since called on the Ministry of Local Government to come to the aid of the Lusaka City Council so as to bring order and sanity to this very important facility, and this can only be done by providing sufficient funds to empower the Waste Management Unit to adequately manage the dump site.
And without doubt that the Lusaka City Council has failed to sustainably run the Chunga dump site, as evident by the illegal and uncontrolled dumping and burning of waste in and around the dump site. Last week when we visited the facility, we found the surrounding was uncouth, uncoordinated, and basically a disaster. And this has, unfortunately, it has a potential of putting the entire city at high risk of disease breakout. And we're cognizant of the fact that Zambia is committed to the UN's Sustainable Development Goals and SDG number 11, which is Sustainable Cities and Communities, calls attention to the safe disposal of solid waste. Hence, we call upon the Ministry of Local Government to come and aid the Lusaka City Council so that they can bring order and sanity to this very important facility.
A Lusaka photographer, Cornelius Chela, commonly known as Chela Tukuta, has failed to defend himself and has opted to remain silent in a case he is charged with libel against former Information and Broadcasting Services Minister Dora Silia. When the matter came up before Chief Resident Magistrate Lamek Mwale for opening of his defense, Tukuta, through his lawyers Linda Kasonde and Mulambo Haimbe, informed the court that Tukuta has elected to remain silent in the case. In the previous court session, the court had found Tukuta with a case to answer and placed him on his defense, but since he won't give his defense or co-witnesses, the case has been closed. In this case, Tukuta is alleged to have defamed Miss Celia after he called her a prostitute who sells girls to high-profile men for sex. It is alleged that Tukuta on May 26, 2020, in Lusaka, published defamatory matter affecting Celia in the form of a video on Facebook. The matter comes up on the 2nd of July 2021 for judgment. You're watching Camnet TV, not just another channel. We'll take a break. We'll be back with more news.
At Master Signs, our services range from outdoor, indoor signage such as billboards, banners, 3D light boxes, pylons and neon signs. We are located at plot number 397A, Makeni Road, Lusaka, at Oryx Filling Station. For more details, call us on +260 967 100 090 or +260 966 999 981, or better still, email us at infomastersign@gmail.com. Master Sign, we will make it shine.
President Edgar Chagwa and the PF have commercialized the Zambia Railways and diverted huge cargo off the road into rail line transportation. Both Edgar Chagwa and the PF that have brought you change.
In this fast-paced era of industrial boom and population growth, there is need to invest in smart ways of managing electricity and water consumption and reducing utility billing costs associated with the postpaid billing system. At Savenda Electronics, we manufacture right here in Zambia different types of high-quality smart electricity and water meters to customer specifications. Savenda Electronics water and electricity meters help you monitor your usage and gives notifications such as low units, tampering, low battery, and many other features. These easy-to-use meters makes it easier to buy units even in these COVID times and top up just from the comfort of your space. Favorable contract terms are available to both electricity and water utilities. For more details, get in touch with us on the following numbers: 0956 580 349 or 0977 498 318. Savenda Electronics, the real deal.
Into the best mood this June. Be ready to enjoy your downtime with sensational shows, keeping you fully entertained this month on GoTV. Making and playing. Discover all the fun ways to do science at home. Not all heroes wear capes, but doctors wear coats, and they're here to save the day.
Here whenever you need me.
What's done in the dark will always come to light. For your favorite shows, keep connected to GoTV with entertainment to get you in the best mood this June. GoTV. Love it.
2021 has been described as a highly politically charged year. This is because every 5 years, the country goes to the polls, and that 5 years elapses with only a few months remaining down to the ballot. The battlefield to appear on the ballot is becoming fertile. A lot of people are expressing interest of appearing on the ballot.
In all this, our interest is to put the duty bearers, the leaders, and those aspiring to task by asking the relevant questions.
If you're an aspiring candidate, be it councillor, mayor or member of parliament, get in touch with us to get yourself on the verdict.
We go beyond speculation in dealing with policy and governance issues. The right questions are asked to help you make a verdict.
For more details, you can call us on 0962 965883, 0979 753010, or email us info@camnettvafrica.com. Terms and conditions apply.
Join us on Camnet TV
every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday and Friday at 17:45 hours
on a new program dubbed The Verdict.
Remember that Camnet TV is not just another channel.
Welcome back. We continue with the news. The Ministry of Health says Zambia stands a real risk of overwhelming the healthcare system, particularly case management, if the situation of preventing and mitigating COVID-19 infection in the community is not collectively and expeditiously addressed. In a COVID-19 update statement, Ministry of Health Permanent Secretary for Technical Services, Dr. Kennedy Malama, explains that COVID-19 isolation and treatment facilities, including the private hospitals, are filling up at a fast rate, with 88 new admissions recorded in the last 24 hours. The Permanent Secretary has since reiterated the need to stop the spread of COVID-19 by closing the taps of community transmission. Dr. Malama has since urged local authorities and leaders in congregations to step up the efforts and ensure implementation of interventions at community level, as well as enforce adherence to the public health guidelines. In addition, in the last 24 hours, the country has recorded 1,767 new confirmed cases with 3 deaths. New Congress Party NCP President Pastor Peter Mulenga Chanda has appealed to the opposition United Party for National Development UPND leader Hakainde Hichilema to tame his cadres who are brutalizing innocent people in the perceived UPND strongholds. Pastor Chanda has expressed disappointment in the manner in which the UPND leader has remained quiet while his supporters are brutalizing innocent people. Pastor Chanda says Zambia has been a haven of peace, freedom and home to a lot of refugees as it participated in the liberation struggle of its neighbors. He has advised politicians to realize that the country attained political emancipation and that politics must be perceived as a game of policies and not a game of fists. Peter Chanda has since advised youths to stay away from politics of violence and only wait for August 12, where they should exercise their constitutional right and vote for the candidates of their choice.
So my call to all the youths in the country: engage in productive activities and don't participate in useless possessions that are bent at nothing but disobeying the orders of the police. We need to understand that, number one, the UPND should stop daring the Zambia police. We all know that when you are elected in office, you are given the authority to come up with rules and laws to ensure that you provide the laws that people should follow. This is the practice for each and every king, each and every person that has become president. So the statutory instrument that restrains us from conducting our public rallies should be obeyed by all well-meaning Zambians. It's not a public rally you could have started preparing. For those that are thinking they can only win if they hold public rallies, then let them wait for 2026 and do what I did. Despite paying my nomination fee, I withdrew. So if UPND is not ready, if any other political party that is insisting on holding rallies, they are not ready, let them withdraw. 2026 is coming. It's not far away, it's just 5 years in between.
Zambia Anti-Tribalism Youth Organization Deputy Chairperson Simata has called on President Edgar Lungu to show political will in the fight against tribalism. Speaking to Camnet TV, Mr. Simata explains that a letter was written to the head of state requesting him to firmly address the nation on this matter, but there has been no response. He notes that in an election year like now, Zambians should strive to unite the country, adding that no meaningful development can be achieved with a divided people. Mr. Simata has also advised political parties to campaign using their party manifestos and not tribal talk, urging members of the public to reject all those politicians failing to campaign on issues.
We believe that every political party has got a party manifesto. So we advise all politicians to stick to their political manifesto. Why should somebody engage into tribal politics as if you don't have an agenda? All that shows that you lack confidence in yourselves. So we advise you politicians to stick to party manifesto. You see, let us bring tribes together. How can you manage to demonstrate leadership in a divided country? So it's impossible. So the first thing you need to do is to bring tribes together. Then now you exercise your leadership.
You're watching Camnet TV Main News. We take another break. We'll be back with international and sports news.
From time immemorial, we have had different types of lighting options, from those that can burn down our investments in minutes to those that dig holes in our pockets due to constant replacement and huge consumption of our ZESCO units. Savenda Electric introduces the new and advanced electric bulb with cutting-edge technology of LED that has low power consumption, gives out bright white light, and lasts up to 25,000 hours. Savenda Electric manufactures all types of LED light, like plastic LED fluorescent tubes, down lights, ceiling lights, outdoor fittings, and solar street lights made to customer specifications. Let's live on the bright side of life by choosing the wide range of Savenda electric lighting solutions that are available in all leading stores and supermarkets countrywide. For orders, call 0962-642-490 or email jnbunda@savenda.com or pchabula@savenda.com.
It's your friends.
I insist.
Your drama.
Do you think you can talk about my dad like that? You were in charge.
And intrigue.
Are you out for good or what? What do you want? Dare you say that to me, eh?
Your heroes. It's your moment with your stories. Made at home for your home. 'Cause great stories start on DSTV.
Every day for me means hard work. Going to sell my goods at the local market. To get more customers, I have my secret. Oracle Pure Glycerin. It's soft, smooth, and keeps my skin perfect. And my customers know it. Thank you, Oracle, for my perfect skin.
Camnet TV is here to entertain, educate, and inform you. Catch Rise and Thrive at 0730 hours every Saturday. Fresh and new praise and worship comes Monday to Friday at 8 hours. Kids need to be glued to the TV every weekday at 09 hours for their favorite cartoons. Off the pitch with the boys as they talk about sport on Saturdays at 0930 hours.
Remember, we are also here to entertain you with our different varieties of movies every weekday at 10 hours. Join Pastor Victoria and Moses Chuluwa with Healing Word Ministries International Church live sermon every Sunday at 10 hours.
Katamanda brings to you another journey of gospel ministers on Saturdays at 10:30 hours. The verdict comes to your screens at 17:45 hours. Join the Revival Harvest Church every Sunday at 18:30 hours.
Every Monday to Saturday, join us on the news desk at 12 hours as we bring to you the midday news, and at 19:30 hours Central African time every day for the main bulletin.
The ministry with Pastor Moses Chuluwa comes every Friday at 20:45 hours. On Mondays, it's your favorite national matters at 20:45 hours.
Wednesday and Thursday, Pastor Victoria and Moses Chuluwa are on Partnership of Greatness with different spiritual teachings at 20:45 hours.
And Frank on Camnet comes to your screen every Tuesday at 20:45 hours.
Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Welcome back. We now look at international news. A man in a crowd of onlookers slapped French President Emmanuel Macron in the face when he was on a walkabout in southern France on Tuesday, video showed. Macron's security entourage put the man to the ground and moved Macron away.
When he was slapped, Emmanuel Macron was separated from the crowd by a simple security barrier. His attacker was centimeters away from him and able to grab hold of his arm. Macron was flanked by 5 bodyguards. But is that enough? Security on Wednesday was standard for this kind of walkabout. A handful of agents around the president with a few plainclothes agents placed inside the crowd to get a feel for the atmosphere and identify any potential threat.
On doit sonder la foule avant un bain de foule. Savoir si la foule est hostile, pas hostile. Dans ce cas, encore une fois, sur l'image qu'on voit, apparemment, le bain de foule est improvisé. Donc, effectivement, si on n'a pas le temps de sonder un petit peu la foule, savoir les intentions et le type d'accueil qu'on aura, c'est l'effet surprise qui prédomine.
To understand how the slap occurred, you have to go back to a few seconds before the incident. Macron can be seen running towards the gathering of people, potentially surprising his bodyguards.
Et je pense que ça n'est pas prévu dans le protocole tel qu'il avait été imaginé et prévu par les services de sécurité.
Macron isn't the first president to be attacked by a crowd. Nicolas Sarkozy was grabbed by somebody during a walkabout in 2011. Although these public engagements may be a security officer's worst nightmare, they are vital tools for politicians to meet voters. So despite the risks, they won't be going anywhere.
The Health Minister of South Africa's Zweli Mkhize has been placed on special leave, the presidency said in a statement on Tuesday. The decision was taken so that he might attend to allegations and investigations concerning contracts between the Department of Health and the service provider Digital Vibes. Mkhize told journalists that he had discussed with President Cyril Ramaphosa and the possibility of taking special leave, but added that resignation was not on the table. Digital Vibes is run by two of Mkhize's close associates, and the Daily Maverick reported that the company had made payments for repairs to a house owned by a trust in Mkhize's name. There was also a cash payment from Digital Vibes to his son Dedani, as well as a car bought in his name. Mkhize said work had started to recover 37 million rands of that money, which was found to have been fruitless and wasteful expenditure. The party resolved at its 2017 conference at Nasrec that leaders who are under a cloud should subject themselves to the commission.
The Health Minister of South Africa, Zweli Mkhize, has been placed on special leave, the presidency said in a statement on Tuesday, so that he might attend to allegations and investigations concerning contracts between the Department of Health and a service provider, Digital Vibes. Reportedly, resignation is not on the table for the minister. The Minister of Tourism, Imamoloko Kubayi Ngubani, will act in his place.
Better late than never. And indeed, it's never too late to do the right thing. As president should have acted much earlier, because there was so much in the public space, and there was enough documentary evidence to compel him to advise the minister not to step down, but at least to step aside as the processes unfold.
Mkhize has apologized, saying in reference to the COVID-19 pandemic, quote, "It has affected me and my family and tainted the teamwork of our government led by the president," end quote.
On just administering the vaccines, even communication in this regard, we have performed poorly, right? It's just that the people are fairly generous in their support and disposition towards the current president. I wonder if it had been the previous one, would they have been so understanding? We haven't done well. He wouldn't leave a void. And I still believe, even within the ANC and even the current executive, there are good replacements that can step in immediately.
The Special Investigating Unit is looking into the questionable roughly €9 million contract, and Mkhize is to appear before the ANC's Integrity Commission.
It's now time for sports news. And in sports news, Zambia will meet Great Britain's women football at Stoke City's stadium on Thursday, the 1st of July, in the lead-up to the Tokyo 2020, to be played in July 2021 games. The Copper Queens qualified for their first women's Olympic football tournament following a 4-0 draw with Cameroon, which saw them earn qualification on the away goals rule. The continent's only qualifying team for Tokyo 2020, Zambia have been drawn in Group F and will face incoming England coach Sarina Wiegman's Netherlands on the 21st of July in their first match of the Games. For Great Britain, comprising England, Wales and Scotland players, it will be only the second time that Team Great Britain have entered a women's football team since the introduction of the event to the Olympic schedule in 1996. Team Great Britain fielded a football squad for the first time in the London 2012 Olympic Games. The team reached the quarterfinals with the United States the eventual winners after beating this summer's host Japan 2-1 to win gold for a third consecutive time. Great Britain, who have been drawn in Group E, will face Chile in the opening game of the Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games in Sapporo on the 21st of July, followed by host Japan on the 24th of July before traveling to Kashima to take on Canada on the 27th of July. That story brings us to the end of the news, but we'll take a look at the headlines once more. British envoy to Zambia predicts a non-free and fair 2021 Zambian election. Police stop HH and the UPND from holding door-to-door campaigns in MUNALI and MATERO. UNZA lecturers side with fired resident doctors president. And in international news, Macron slapped during a trip to southeast France. In sports news, Copper Queens to face Great Britain in international friendly. The Camnet Word verse of the day is coming from the book of Psalms 100, verse 4 to 5, and it reads, "Enter his gates with thanksgiving and his courts with praise. Give thanks to him and praise his name. For Yahweh is good and his love is eternal. His faithfulness endures through all generations." My name is Jeffrey Ziambo and you are watching Camnet TV, not just another channel. Thanks for watching the news. Bye-bye.